Puka done changed up. He got drama off the field. You know what I'm saying? It's hitting, it's hitting the timeline, hitting TMZ.
Everything hinges on an April 14th, 2026 court appearance in Los Angeles to decide what happens next. To grasp how this situation spiraled, we have to look back at who Nacua is and that final night of 2025, New Year's Eve, 2025. To settle why things got this ugly for Nacua today, you need two vital backstories. Number one is his background. Nacua entered the league as a complete underdog, no draft call, no big paycheck, and zero safety net. He clawed his way to a starting spot and a Pro Bowl. By late 2025, he was the top playmaker for the Rams. A massive extension was looming, representing the kind of life-altering wealth that secures a family for generations. Within professional football circles, that zero-to-hero journey is considered one of the most powerful stories in the game. That was Puka's life. Now, for context too, the drama brewing weeks before that fateful New Year's Eve in mid-December. During a live stream with internet host Aiden Ross, Nacua performed a specific hand movement that sparked instant outrage. The sign, which is linked to a nasty anti-Semitic trope, spread across the digital world within a matter of hours. Public backlash was swift. Nacua apologized, but the league still slapped him with a $25,000 fine for separate official bashing comments. The heat eventually died down on the front pages, but the public did not actually forget what they saw. Fast forward 14 days to Century City. It is December 31st, and things are about to resurface in a much darker way. A group dinner for New Year's Eve. A 24-year-old Nacua is at the table, along with a woman named Madison Atiabi, according to a legal protection request filed in a Los Angeles court and later leaked to the public by TMZ. She alleges the evening turned sour when Nacua shouted a slur against the Jewish community right in front of the group. Those words, she claims, sparked a downward spiral of aggressive, vulgar, and physically threatening behavior from the star player. After dinner, the party piled into a shuttle van where Atiabi says Nacua started getting inappropriately handsy with the women. She alleges he shoved his head into her friend's lap and bit her thumb hard enough to draw a scream before turning on her. The filing claims he bit her shoulder with such violence it left a perfect ring of teeth marks and tore through her skin. Evidence was captured that night. And by January 1st, 2026, she had filed a formal report with the police. Those are the heavy hitters, a slur at dinner and a bite in the van. Both are now documented legal evidence in a courthouse.
But F all the Jews off GP. You saw what happened when Kyrie Irving had an anti-Semitic.
Hold up.
Kyrie's controversy haunted his career for years. This is something far more visceral than just sharing a link to a documentary. We are talking about a face-to-face verbal attack in front of witnesses from a guy who had a similar scandal 2 weeks prior. This did not just pop up. The 3-month silence between January and March was all about a tense legal standoff in mediation. Atiabi's team alleges that during a March session, Nacua's lawyers and PR fixers threatened to smear her via TMZ if she did not stop. They supposedly threatened to leak bogus stories to ruin her reputation unless she dropped her claims about that night. She claims that is why she sought the restraining order to get her side on the official record before they could bury her. A judge passed on the immediate order, citing a need for more proof before the court could take such action. A major hearing was set for April 14th. But once TMZ got the scoop on March 24th, the sports world went nuclear. It was not just the bite, it was the secret police report and the high-priced PR shadow war that had been raging for 90 days.
I'm worried about Puka because Puka has become a target. And I would suggest that to some degree, Puka has taken the paintbrush and painted the target on his back, but Puka has become a target.
That was the take from Emmanuel Acho. But to see why this exploded, we have to track exactly how it broke online. It all started around 11:05 p.m. on March 24th, the moment the internet caught fire. Late that night, a popular football account called AML Football dropped a pair of updates that racked up 10 million views. This was not some random thought. It was a high-voltage news alert designed to hijack everyone's attention immediately. The first alert read, "Massive update. Rams star Puka Nacua is being accused of anti-Semitic rants and assault in Los Angeles." The victim alleges Nacua shouted slurs during dinner before biting her shoulder and drawing blood, according to reports from TMZ. A screenshot of the article accompanied the post, which quickly hit nearly 5 million views and thousands of interactions. The comments were a chaotic mix of disbelief, memes, and fans rushing to defend their star player from the heat. Some demanded an immediate release, while others waited for proof. Either way, the combo of hate speech and biting is devastating. By 11:20 p.m., the online fire had become an absolute inferno that could not be contained. AML Football doubles down with a quote post, finally dropping the receipts, a macro shot showcasing the supposed bite wound on Atiabi's flesh. It is a perfectly round, sharp-edged bruise, eerily symmetrical. Nothing like the typical marks you would expect from a standard evening of partying. The caption screams, "Breaking news. TMZ just scored photos from the accuser, revealing a bite injury she insists came from Rams star Puka Nacua." Within 24 hours of the incident, the woman involved hit up the local precinct to get a formal report on the books. This update totally eclipsed the original. 5,900 likes and nearly 6 million views later, the comments section took a wild turn. That suspiciously geometric wound pic instantly turned every follower into a self-proclaimed CSI investigator, sparking a massive frenzy of digital forensics. Users started pinching their screens, flooding the feed with claims that the mark looked more like a bottle top than actual teeth. "It is way too neat. No mouth is that round," critics argued. Soon, people were overlaying Nacua's dental records onto the photo. The web did not just watch. They went full detective mode, manufacturing rival theories on the fly. This two-part social media blast was engineered for maximum engagement and chaos. The initial thread set the trap with a bombshell, an NFL pro, TMZ reports, and accusations involving hate speech and physical violence. Part 2 provided the physical exhibit, a visual piece of evidence specifically designed to force every viewer to pick a side immediately. This was not just another headline to skim. You were analyzing pixels and tagging your friends to see if they saw what you saw. Suddenly, you are debating dental physics at midnight. This interactive obsession is exactly why the scandal did not just fizzle out after the first day. Honestly, that single photo triggered more digital noise than just about any other pro football controversy in the last few years. By March 25th, Nacua's name was the lead story on every heavy-hitting sports outlet across the entire country. Yahoo, USA Today, and even Fox News were all running with it, everyone rehashing the same legal docs, the same report, and that same polarizing image. As the story blew up, it exposed a massive, growing rift in how the public viewed the young wide receiver's character in real time. One camp took the court papers as gospel, citing the police logs and the recurring mentions of hate speech as proof that he needed to be punished. People were already drawing parallels to the Kyrie Irving drama in the comments, even before the big sports pundits weighed in the next day. Conversely, a loud army of doubters used that bottle cap photo as their shield, insisting the mark was clearly fabricated or mechanical. His fans, who saw his grit on the field, were not about to cancel him over some TMZ gossip and a weird-looking bruise. The tension only grew. This conflict became the defining narrative as everyone circled April 14th on their calendars, waiting for the high-stakes legal showdown. It was the legal claim versus the defense's rebuttal. While the truth remained elusive, the ticking clock toward court provided a clear focal point. Decoding the importance of April 14th requires a deep dive into the actual filings, the rejected restraining order, and Nacua's current legal status. Let us break down the actual paperwork. Sure, the photo got the clicks, but the legal text tells a far more complex story. That image is just the surface. The full documents describe a saga that goes way past a few messy hours inside a luxury van. The eye of this storm is Madison Atiabi's request for a temporary restraining order, recently lodged within the Los Angeles court system, once TMZ leaked the docs on March 24, 2026. They revealed a chilling timeline of alleged harassment and a coordinated effort to keep the victim quiet. It began at dinner. Atiabi claims that Nacua was being uncomfortably handsy with the women at the table throughout the entire meal. That set the stage for what followed. The alleged slurs were not just a one-off slip, they were presented as the kickoff to a toxic pattern. Then things moved to the vehicle. The details regarding the biting were laid out with cold, terrifying accuracy in the court papers. First, he allegedly bit a friend's thumb so hard she shrieked. Then, he supposedly clamped down on Atiabi's shoulder with enough violence to leave a full dental imprint. The wording in the filing is surgical. It does not describe a playful mishap. It describes a deliberate act of aggression. These are accusations of assault, plain and simple. She snapped photos of the injury that night and went to the cops on New Year's Day. A report was officially logged, though no immediate arrests were made while the authorities began digging into the claims. But here is where the story veers away from your typical celebrity scandal and into something much more calculated. Atiabi did not sue right away. Instead, there were 3 months of quiet where she says she was being squeezed to keep her mouth shut. Come March, they held a mediation. Nacua's legal heavyweights showed up, flanked by a high-stakes crisis management firm. Bringing in spin doctors before the news even broke shows exactly how terrified Nacua's camp was about this story blowing up in their faces. According to the court documents, Nacua's representatives did not just negotiate, they allegedly issued a blatant ultimatum to the accuser. They supposedly warned her to drop it, or they would flood the tabloids with manufactured lies to destroy her reputation. The goal was to use the media as a weapon, dragging her through the mud and ruining her credibility before she could ever tell her side. Atiabi paints a picture of a massive corporate engine trying to crush her. She claims this intimidation is exactly why she needed legal help. She pursued a restraining order to shield herself from Nacua and the PR hit squad he supposedly hired. That is when she filed for emergency protection. An L.A. judge turned down the initial request, citing a lack of evidence for an immediate order. However, that was not an acquittal, just a pause. Think of it as a courtroom timeout, a legal way of saying, hold on. This case isn't over. It just leveled up to a full evidentiary showdown. April 14th, 2026. Both sides face the bench. Every single word becomes part of the permanent record. The photos, the police file, and the mediation claims, all of it lands on the judge's desk for a final call. By March 25th, 2026, the cops are still just looking at an initial report. No cuffs, no dockets, and 0 criminal charges. The file stays active. But turning a report into a trial is a massive mountain to climb. And the prosecution hasn't even started the hike.
Right? I don't know about the biting and all that. I don't understand that part. But that was wild.
That weirdly perfect circle is why people are skeptical. If that image is legit, we're looking at hard proof of a violent, skin-breaking chomp. But if those marks don't look like a human mouth, as the critics argue, then the foundation of this physical evidence totally crumbles. We will leave that debate for the hearing on April 14th. But here is the stone-cold truth. The legal filing is very real. The police report, the court date, all real. Even Puka's own lawyer isn't standing there claiming a bite never even took place. To figure out why they are admitting that and see their side of the story, we have to dissect the defense attorney's official statement. When Levi G, Macather I dropped his press release on March 25th, 2026, his counterstrike was already locked, loaded, and ready. Macather sent his response straight to the tabloids before it blew up everywhere. Hitting back at the claims from 3 very different angles, he didn't just wing this. Every word was chosen to pack a punch. Phase 1, that alleged hateful, anti-Semitic slur. Macather blasted the claim about those remarks as pure fiction, calling the allegations a total lie designed to ruin a man's reputation. He claims plenty of people who were stone-cold sober at that dinner didn't hear a single thing. No insults, no screaming, absolutely nothing. This isn't about someone getting a quote wrong. He is saying the whole thing was fabricated, and everyone there can prove it. That is a very calculated chess move designed to save both his legal standing and his brand in the public eye. If they tried to explain it away, there'd be room for doubt. But by shutting it down completely with backup, they're going for the throat. Now the other side has to find witnesses, or that hate speech claim dies in court, regardless of what people say on social media. Phase 2, the bite. This is the part of the statement where we see exactly how they plan to play their hand. Macather isn't saying there was no teeth-to-skin contact. He's calling it drunken roughhousing, just some harmless, mutual messing around between consenting adults. He argues any mark left was gone in a flash and definitely wasn't inappropriate, claiming the lawsuit would look different if it were. Pay attention to the fine print. He isn't denying the act, he is just downplaying it as a minor, insignificant incident. It was a two-way street, not a crime. They're pivoting to acknowledge the contact because those photos are already out in the wild, with the police report in play. Lying would be a disaster come April, so they're just stripping away the criminal vibes from the story. It is a smart bit of damage control, give an inch to save a mile. Now, check out the final counterstrike. Macather is dismissing this entire legal case as nothing more than a multi-million-dollar shakedown and a total cash grab. Using the word shakedown paints the other side as an extortionist rather than a victim, turning the tables to make them look like the aggressors. They're making it look like someone saw a big-time athlete as a human lottery ticket and cooked up a story for a check. That narrative really sticks with the crowd that already thinks those bite photos look a bit too perfect to be real. It plays right into the idea that those marks are suspect, giving the public a reason to doubt the physical evidence they see. This isn't a story about violence. It is a predatory legal ambush designed to squeeze money out of a famous person. Then comes the hammer. The defense promised that Puka is lawyering up for a defamation suit against anyone spreading these specific stories. Threatening a defamation lawsuit is a classic page taken straight out of the high-profile Celebrity Crisis Management Handbook. It is a warning shot. It puts the pressure back on the other side and tells the media to think twice before talking. It flips the script, making Puka look like the one who has been wronged instead of being the defendant in this story. He's the target of a smear campaign now. This strategy, denying slurs, downplaying the bite, and shouting shakedown is a masterclass in PR defense. You only get a response this polished when you have a room full of high-priced spin doctors, which is exactly what Puka had. They had this defense ready before anyone even heard the news. But honestly, Puka, you are too talented to be in this mess. This isn't just about the law. It is about a lifestyle that keeps putting him in the crosshairs of lawyers and the press. You have got too much to lose to be getting wasted in public where people are just waiting to put a target on you. To see the big picture, we have to look further back than December 31st. 2025, this pattern didn't start there. The trend is undeniable. That New Year's blow-up marks the most chaotic turning point in Puka Nacua's life outside the stadium. This didn't just happen out of the blue, though. Rewind 2 weeks to mid-December 2025. During a live broadcast, Nacua hopped on a stream with internet celebrity Aiden Ross and another creator known as Andreon. During the show, he vented about NFL refs, making pointed remarks that the league would later decide were worth $25,000 of his salary. However, those complaints about the officiating aren't what actually stuck in the public's mind after the stream ended. The moment happened when Aiden Ross told Puka he wanted to give him a brand new touchdown celebration to try. So what was the move? It involved spinning around like a dreidel, pretending to warm his hands, and then one final motion. It basically mimicked the classic, offensive caricature of someone being incredibly stingy or obsessed with money. That hand-rubbing gesture, which is deeply tied to a hateful anti-Semitic trope, set the internet on fire within just a few hours. Congressman Eric Swalwell went public soon after, demanding the Rams cut Nacua from the team immediately. Nacua issued a statement on Instagram saying he had no clue the act was offensive and that he stands against all hate. He pointed out that Aiden Ross, who is Jewish himself, was the one who suggested he use that specific dance. I truly believe that if Puka understood the history of that gesture, he never would have done it. After he apologized, most of the analysts were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt regarding his intent. The public largely accepted his words and moved on, letting the controversy slip away from the headlines for a bit. 2 weeks later, on New Year's, into January 2026, his brother Samson was briefly taken into custody. Cops eventually called it a case of mistaken identity, involving a car similar to one belonging to a Los Angeles Lakers player. No charges were filed, but the Nacua name was back in the news, tied to police yet again. Then, March 24th arrived. The New Year's story, which took place just days after the Ross stream while the fallout was still fresh, finally went public. Looking at the timeline, the pattern is obvious: mid-December fines, followed by New Year's allegations of slurs and a physical fight. Between his brother's arrest and the recent court filings, Puka has generated 5 distinct off-field headlines in just 3 months. Not a single one of them mentions football. The financial consequences of this behavior aren't just theoretical, they are hitting him with surgical precision and timing. For Nacua, the massive contract extension he was expecting is now essentially frozen. A star receiver usually commands life-changing money. But no NFL team is signing a franchise-altering deal while a player has an active civil case and a criminal probe open. Even without formal charges on the table, the simple look of the situation is enough to stall everything. This mess actively kills his leverage at the exact moment he should be cashing in on his success. The Rams haven't said a word about the legal drama as of late March. Staying quiet during a lawsuit is standard protocol. You don't talk to the press when a judge is involved. But silence doesn't mean the team is ignoring the damage. Playing in a massive media market like Los Angeles means the team feels the weight of every negative headline. Dealing with hate speech allegations against their star player during a contract window is costing the team its reputation every day. The NFL hasn't announced a formal investigation as of March 25, 2026. However, the league's conduct policy doesn't require a conviction before they decide to hand out a suspension. It focuses on a pattern of behavior, and his record already shows a fine and a recorded anti-Semitic gesture. Add a court filing with an attached police report to that list, and the situation looks increasingly grim. If a judge grants a restraining order on April 14th, the league's options for leniency will disappear fast. Every bit of it, the money, the brand, and the league rules all leads toward one specific date, April 14th, 2026. Inside a Los Angeles courtroom, there will be testimony and evidence. To be clear, Nacua isn't being sentenced to jail time here. He hasn't been charged and remains a free man. But this 3-month spiral has completely changed his career trajectory. That one day in the courtroom now carries more weight for his future than any touchdown he could score next season. I'm worried because Puka has become a target, even if he's the one who handed them the brush to paint it. From an underdog to a pro bowler, then to TMZ, and finally to a courtroom stand. If you liked this video, click the links on your screen